Hello, welcome to Module 5. I hope you've had a great time with Modules 1, 2, 3, and 4. And how's your course project going? I hope it's going well. Do not forget, please drop me any questions you have on your group chat and I will surely answer them. And if you have any comments, I want to learn your strategies as well. I'm learning even as I'm coaching. So make sure that you drop your strategies. I would love to learn whatever it is that you're working on. Let's continue. Now let's look at this module's outline. We have three things to talk about, and the main topic is retaining attention with your writing. Trust me, this will be interesting. Just stay tuned. We'll talk about writing for readability, storytelling techniques, and under that, we'll talk about evoking emotions in your writing, and finally, using subheadings, list, and visual breaks. Here's this module's quote: I love writing. I love the swirl and swing of words as they tangle with human emotions. And this is the summary of this module. We'll talk about writing and how to use human emotions to captivate our readers. Who's excited? I am. Let's talk about writing for readability. Readability refers to how easy content is to read and understand. Have you read some blog posts and you're tired because they're just not the easiest to read? Readability helps break down your content and makes it easy for your readers to understand. Readable content keeps your readers engaged and reduces confusion. You don't want to confuse your audience with your content, so you need to ensure that you write for readability's sake. These are the ways to improve readability in your content. Use short sentences and paragraphs. Even if you're writing a research paper, if you're writing an essay, if you're writing a novel, make sure you learn how to use short sentences and paragraphs. Focus on one idea at a time. Focus on one idea at a time. You don't want to confuse your readers by having your ideas all over the place. Make sure you focus on one idea at a time. For instance, if you're creating content for market women, in that same content, you cannot have something for relationship talks. You cannot have something for students. Make sure you focus on one idea at a time. Thirdly, avoid unnecessary jargon. Avoid unnecessary jargon. I know you want the world to know that you have a vast knowledge of grammar and you know how to use big words, but make sure you avoid unnecessary jargon. You don't want to bore your readers. Trust me, if I read too much of grammar, of big grammar in a novel, my eyes are usually gonna be like this. Exactly. So you want to avoid that reaction from your readers. And lastly, write in clear, simple language. Easy does it. Make sure your content is easy to understand, is clear, and you can achieve this by using simple language. Now let's talk about storytelling techniques. I want you to look at the image on the slide. You can see the excitement of that child. That is the power of storytelling. The child is hooked, like, yay! I want to learn more. I want to hear more. Imagine your mother or someone close to you, a storyteller, telling you African moonlight tales, and you're just there listening to such beautiful stories. My sister is an amazing writer and she's an amazing storyteller. I would usually beg her for more whenever she told us stories when I was younger. I would tell her, please continue, because she would keep me so hooked with her storytelling techniques. Now, storytelling makes content more engaging and memorable. Think about tortoise. Like, if you're from Africa and your parents or maybe somebody close to you has told you the story of tortoise falling down from heaven, and then somebody is helping me to set pans and pots, and then he fell down and he broke his shell. You're like, oh my gosh, that's very intriguing. That's the power of storytelling. So it makes it memorable. I've heard that story how many years ago, and I still remember. That is storytelling for you. Stories help readers connect with the content on a personal level. Now, we are not going to talk about tortoise if you're talking to human beings, especially if they are not children. So, you want to use storytelling techniques that is going to help your readers connect with your content on a personal level. And these are some techniques you can use. Share real life examples. Everybody wants to know what's going on in your life. I'm not saying you should share 100%, but make sure you share real life examples. It might be another person's story, but make sure that you share real life examples. Another technique is to describe relatable situations. I remember working as an email marketer at Sam Life, and I wrote a story about how I fell from the stairs, and people could relate to that story. It was a story of embarrassment, and people could relate to that. So, you want to share or describe relatable situations, show challenges and solutions. In your content, you don't just want to talk about the challenges, you also want to talk about the solutions. Imagine if you're telling someone, I know you have a problem, but I'm here to solve it for you. But then you don't solve anything, you don't give them the solutions to their problems or to their challenges. They're definitely not going to look for you again. They will block your content. So make sure you show challenges and solutions. Also, learn how to structure content with a clear beginning, a clear middle, and a clear end. You want your content to have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. So if you're telling your readers something, make sure that you start from the very beginning and then you go down to the body and then you conclude. If you notice in the slides that I've been sharing with you, I would always introduce the particular module and then I will go to the body and I will wrap things up. That is what you want to do with your content. This is exciting. Let's talk about evoking emotions in your writing. Emotion plays a major role in reader engagement. You want your readers to feel those emotions. And even if you're writing anything logically, you still want to connect to your reader on a personal level. Now, I want you to think about the following questions. Firstly, does your writing express emotions? Look at your write ups, your past write ups, what you've written before, and just ponder these following questions. Does your writing express emotions? Do you describe the little things? Do you give life to the little things? Do you just say the sky is blue? We all know the sky is blue, but give us something more than the sky is blue. Give us something that we can work with. And lastly, do you tell or do you show? Remember in our previous module, I talked about showing your readers and not telling them. So you need to learn the difference between telling your readers something and showing them. Now let's talk about the first question. Does your writing express emotions? Asking this question will help you know what area to improve when evoking your readers' emotions. Imagine you've written a wonderful piece, but then your writing did not arouse your readers' feelings. The article, for instance, did not hook your readers. They are just like, You don't want a bland expression from your readers. You want something exciting. And emotions could be curiosity, empathy, like, give me more. A research paper, for instance, the emotional part of it that you're trying to get from your readers would definitely be curiosity, like, that's informational, give me more, And then in stories, for instance, you might want to evoke empathy and motivation or inspiration. If you go to your Instagram and there are particular people you're following and then they share the stories of their lives, trust me, you're not just listening for listening's sake. You're listening because that content connected with you on an emotional level. And when we talk about emotions, we don't just talk about tears. Like I said, curiosity could be an emotion. Empathy, it could also be motivation or inspiration. So make sure that you're writing express emotions. Just think about the kind of emotions you want your readers to get from your write-up, from your product description. It could be curiosity. It could be, yes, I can do this, motivation. Or it could be, if this person could do that, I could also do that. It could be inspirational. So just think about if your writing expresses emotions. The second question we need to consider is, do you describe the little things? Do you describe the little things? Standing out as a creative writer or as a content writer means you describe the littlest of all things. So this means applying detailed descriptions in your writing. Describe the flowers in your write-ups. Describe the sky. Give the sky life. Describe even the couch. Give it life. Remember your writing prompt? I told you to describe your current environment. What I meant is that you should give me something about your environment and paint it as a living thing. Give it life. Give the flowers life. I'm not saying you should go overboard with it, but just give me something to work with. So do you describe the little things? Then the last question, do you tell or do you show? And I'm going to read this example, this statement. There he sat, scared of what might happen next. He kept on chewing his nails without knowing what to expect. Alas, he saw the shadow and did not want to know what would happen next. He fled the room. Now, if you think about this particular scene, imagine what's coming to your mind. This person is nervous. This person is afraid. This person is experiencing fear. That is what you want from your readers. That's what your readers want to feel. So do you tell them or do you show them? Imagine something like, he was afraid. That's it. You're not giving something your readers to work with. So explaining was chewing his nails. If you see somebody chewing their nails or biting their nails, that means they're probably nervous. Yeah, so you want something like that when it comes to content writing. You ensure that you don't tell your readers, you show them. It's one thing to have a good content, it's another thing to structure that content in a way that's going to make it easy for your readers to read and understand. Good structure improves both readability and retention. Let's talk about using subheadings, lists, and visual breaks. Formatting helps your readers scan and absorb content easily. You don't want to create a type of content that your readers would not feel okay with while reading. I want you to practice the following even in your course project or in any kind of writing you start with. Use subheadings to guide the reader. If you're writing a blog post, make sure you use subheadings. If you're writing about 5 ways to do something, as you're going from one point to the next, make sure that you use subheadings. Break information into lists or bullet points. Look at this slide for instance. Imagine me using commas in everything. Use subheadings to get the reader, comma. Break information into lists or bullet points. It might confuse you. So learn to break information into lists or bullet points. Add spacing between sections. You see how easy it is for you to understand what you have, what you're seeing before you on this slide is because of spacing. So learn to add spacing between sections. Also, avoid large blocks of text. I know you're writing content, but ensure that you avoid large blocks of text. Even if you want to include so many texts on one page, just learn to give it the right spacing so it can be easy for your readers to read and understand. Now, I want to give a bonus tip because I care so much about you. And that bonus tip is you. Use less I and more you. Words like you and your make your content feel directed at your reader, not a general audience. So if you're trying to get the attention of someone, you should personalize it. Make sure you use you. Don't use they, don't use we, don't use us. Use you or your. Your readers care about themselves. They do. When they come to your page, when they read your blog post, when they stumble on your article, do you know what they're looking for? What does this person have for me? And you, YOU, is the word that most immediately engages your readers. Compare these examples. A. I will show you how to get more done in less time. I will show you how to get more done in less time. Or, if you want to make this statement feel directed to your readers, use you will learn how to get more done in less time. There's a difference between I will show you and you will learn. You That second part is you putting your readers as the subject, as the focus. The next time you're writing, think about using more use and reduce your use of eyes. Now let's wrap this module up. We've talked about readability and how to improve readability in your content. One thing I want you to take away from this module is well organized, readable content keeps your readers engaged from beginning to end. Retaining attention depends on clarity, structure, and emotional connection. So, if you want to keep your readers' interest grabbed or hooked, ensure that you use good clarity. Make sure there is clarity in your message. Make sure you use good structure, good formatting, and let there be an emotional connection. And remember, emotional connection doesn't mean tears, it doesn't really mean happiness. It could be curiosity, inspiration, motivation, or you're making them feel intrigued. That's also an example of emotional connection. So I want you to reflect on your write up in the last module and think about how well you did. Now that we talked about readability, I want you to reflect on what you've written so far regarding your course project. Do you think you're doing well? And if you think you're not when it comes to structure and readability and formatting, just take a few minutes, look at what you've had, look at what you have so far, and ensure that your content has good structure, it has great formatting, there is enough spacing, there are subheadings, there are lists, there are bullet points if necessary. See you in the next module.